Welcome to this episode of Demand Drivers. We're going to cover off today ChatGPT and AI and all of those things that are kind of going on in the market at the moment, and whether we should or should not be using it in our business, particularly around marketing and driving demand. So I'll throw it to the brains trust here. Is anyone actually using AI in their business right now?
Should we introduce ourselves first?
Oh.
Let's do
Why
that.
not? Well, go for it.
Chris, you go. How about I do you and you do me? Hi, I'm Chris Melotti from Melotti Media, and we do message marketing.
And I'm Kristin Hancock from Swatch. We create profound brands.
And
I'm Mike, and I've got no idea. So.
Mike Sandys from Oddball. Mike,
Thank you.
you're in the driver's seat, Mike.
Yes. Yeah.
So you know what that means, don't you?
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Yeah. So car. Gee, what's car
Give
of
us
choice?
your car. Tell us your car of choice. Tell us your car of passion.
Mine is an interesting one. Have you guys ever heard of a Tucker 48?
A Tucker 48. So it's not like the sister to Go-Go Mobile or something.
Probably. There's probably some sort of relationship there. Yeah, it's also known as the Tucker Torpedo.
The Tucker Torpedo. I
love it.
That's not the speed of sound. The one of the fast cars, is it? No, that was like across the desert.
No.
Okay.
No. Well, it's the
That's going to be a letdown.
I know. Now it's like I thought he was
Anything he says now.
Oh man. No, it's just it's not the fanciest, fastest car ever created or anything like that. Right. But from a vehicle that was created, so back in 48, there's a whole movie and books on it about Tucker, and he's kind of like the Elon Musk. Or the very first version of Elon Musk, where he didn't succeed. But a lot of the approaches they took back then are all the things that Tesla's doing right now and getting away with it. Whereas the automotive industry back those days and the big manufacturers managed to have their political influence and basically squeeze him out of the market with all these different approaches. But the car itself is pretty incredible. It's a rear engine car. It's actually a I forget if it was an airplane or a helicopter engine they used in the back of it. Aluminium block. And so the speed, the reliability. He introduced laminated windows. So when if it crashed, the windows just kind of popped out and they didn't shatter.
Wow.
He also had integrated sills with if you remember your the cars like the 80s and stuff like that, the old Toyota Corollas and the Datsuns and so forth, they have that little sort of lip that sits just above your door to sort of catch the water as it goes.
Yep.
This is back in 48. They had that all integrated into the door and stuff, so that kept you dry. And he had 3 lights on the front, and the middle light would actually turn as you turn the steering wheel.
Turn with you.
And now Mercedes and BMW do that, and they charge.
They do. Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So if you imagine that back in 48, and there was only ever 47 Tuckers ever made. So yeah.
Good choice.
Different one.
That's a good choice.
That is a good choice. It's now going to make all of ours.
So how do we segue into?
So how do we do
AI?
Let's move into AI.
So are you guys using it? That's the question, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah?
So look, I found AI kind of caught us a bit off guard. I was not late to the party, but I wasn't one that was using it for years. I felt like it sort of arrived in just a few months ago, and it was like boom, and it was like here.
It was a pretty significant leap, wasn't it? ChatGPT was a pretty significant leap.
It was like there was all this like general AI stuff, and then it felt like it was like this nuclear weapon of a thing just came out of nowhere, and look, it did scare the marketing industry a lot, and I think it still is. It's still very, very new. Of course, being a copywriting agency, we threatened, panicked, And so, but I'm a firm believer in innovation is you can't beat them, join them. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, it's one of those things where I've worked with many industries and they've been disrupted before and they always go, oh, resist. I'm like, no, it's the ones that adapt and use that do the best. And that's what we have done. So ChatGPT, I'm sure everyone's aware of it by now, excellent for research, right? And so if you're like, for us as a content creator, like if you use it for, a lot of the time my team had to research these things. Like we would say, write an article or a piece on something that, in HR. And you would always have to go, right, now let's find some stats to support that. Whereas ChatGPT can cut that.
But what about, but can you trust because one of the, because some of the articles I've read on ChatGPT say that if you ask for a source, so you say, rightio, I want some research done on this, and I want a source included. It will include a source, but that source may never exist.
And this is
because
the danger.
you particularly asked it.
And this is the thing. It's you. Look, I don't want to discourage people from using it because, like, you don't understand. I've done so much research on this, every day almost, and I don't want to discourage people from using it. It's just the legal stuff behind it is a bit scary
because it's copyright as well, isn't it?
Right, and there's a lot of terms and conditions, and it basically OpenAI basically says you deal with this, not us. So if you use our content, it basically says you have to deal with.
And do you think that's fair enough? I mean, like, I'm personally coming from a marketing background. I think in this case, I would say, the owner of the person who is using it, or the firm that is using it, needs to be responsible for how they use it, because at the end of the day, there's too many applications for the actual developer of it to say.
Well, and that's the thing.
That's really a difficult area.
It's huge. It's new too.
The thing is, all about the creative industries, if you look at everything that we're doing anyways, it's all derivative. So if anyone sits there and it's purely original. That's it. Yeah.
I'm just gonna drink water and see.
That's the thing, though. All of so everything that's working on from an AI point of view, it's it has dangers because you don't know the components, you don't know how it's got that information, how it's brought that information together, and how unique that information is. And the thing is, you're not the only one prompting the system to do this sort of research and to come up with these topics and stuff too. So as a system, you've got to sort of wonder how many times you're getting the similar answers. And you see that if you use the AI tools and you go through and you ask it similar questions and derivative versions of those questions and stuff, you get very similar answers coming back. So you've got to ask yourself, well, hang on, if I'm getting similar sort of responses on quite frequently, how many other people are getting? And then when you're publishing it, who publishes first?
And this is what don't even get me started. Like, this is the thing.
Then there's this whole area now that they're talking around about, is prompting becoming a skill set? And then wait for the next one, which will be prompting bias. Is that same prompter going to keep having their, every person has an
and you don't know what you
bias.
don't know.
Yeah, you don't know
all
what
these
you don't
things.
know.
It's a big area.
Are you influencing ChatGPT to come back, even though you're trying your best not to? A lot of research would say that you've got your own personal bias, so you can't.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's where the prompting side of things is where I actually find that it actually delivers some really amazing results. And actually really the power of AI is really in that ability to narrow its focus. You see with the AI tools, they can sort of crunch through stuff so fast, just at a speed we cannot. We can never compete with that. But the critical thing is that we still use our strategic ability and sort of thinking in terms of humans. We can look at the whole gamut of everything and then sort of narrow it down with some smart strategies very quickly. That's something that we still have the advantage at this stage in doing. So if we do that part and then turn it over to AI to actually do the grunt work, that's where I think it's a really good combination.
And I think that's what the point of this episode is that but it's like it's the research, right? And using it as a tool and seeing it as a tool, I think, like, jump in, right? I think it's a great tool for research and all these things, but you have to take into account the fact that there are these traps. And I'm not saying that it's not, just to sway people. It's just make sure that, like Mike said, the sea of homogenous content that's going to be coming in the next 2 years. I've also looked at bell curve stats, where if it's, and this is just a generalization, but if it's looking at, say, 10 pieces of content to create yours, the chances are it's looking at 8 in that middle of the bell curve. And so therefore it's producing more of that middle of the average rather than the really good or the really bad. So that's, you've got to take into account that. And it's just, but it's a tool. It's a great tool for marketing.
So I did a few exercises myself, and I'm using ChatGPT but I chose a couple of topics that I knew there wasn't a lot of conversation out there on.
Oh, interesting.
So I knew there weren't a lot of touch points, and most of the touch points I'd already researched, just through Dr. Google. But what I found was a lot of those touch points were repeating what the main source was repeating. So then when I went to ChatGPT and said, okay, and I prompted it in a few different ways, it came back mostly with what the original source was saying.
And
So
you gotta be careful with that, isn't it?
it found it really, really, really difficult to start elaborating. So I started expanding a bit more, and the detail below started to get sketchier and sketchier. So, but that was, and so it therefore relies on, it must have sources to do it. So, and that for an agency like us, and I suppose yourself, Chris, is the thing that it will always miss. The thing that it will misses now is the creativity.
Yeah.
So the creativity and creating something new and having perspective on on a number of different inputs that you're trying to, give it a perception from a visual perspective, particularly for us, because it's not just ChatGPT is your space, but there's other AI tools that are creating. There's design ones, but it's
all and coding and legal.
So you still need, and the thing with the design piece is we've found that you still need to have that creative brain.
Yep.
To be able to even engage with the AI to get the look that you're trying to get.
And look, I've got so much to say about this. I know we're going to wind
I
up,
love
but
what you said about don't be scared of it.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what you're doing in business. Don't be scared of it.
Try
Give
it a go.
it.
Adapt it.
It's amazing.
And it's phenomenal human ingenuity. But it does require you to be, spend a bit of time on it. And look, I've seen a lot of stats that unfortunately it isn't producing rankable stuff at the moment. So Neil Patel, as I was listening to him say, and he's saying he's done A/B testing with pure AI output and then AI output that has been edited, and he said it's still not as ranking as the manual. But I'm looking forward to Google's Bard. I think that when they can get that off the ground,
although
that's got a different approach.
There must be something going on there because it's not hit yet.
I know, but it's got a different approach because what it does is they see it as an extension of their Google search algorithm. Like what it's doing is it's giving you the answer, but then it's saying here's the source we found it from. That's going to be an interesting perspective. I know we're going to wind it up because we're running out of time, but any other last thoughts?
Well, my last thoughts would be we're not finished. We need to do this again. We'll come back.
Integrate into marketing, right? AI will be in marketing for pretty much now going forward.
Yeah, it's exciting. And like you, Chris, I think there's some fantastic ways to use it and incorporate it in your business. Don't be shy, have a go.
Yeah. And know where it starts and stops.
And know where it
right?
starts and stops. Yeah. Exactly. Particularly for us, there's so many layers.
Right.
All right, well, I think that's a wrap for this episode. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Thank you.